Hello friends, welcome back. In the previous three videos, we have been talking about the properties of Fourier transforms and we have completed around 6-7 properties on Fourier transforms. We still have about one or two left and that we shall complete it in this particular video. So we shall now take up the eighth video which is called as derivatives of Fourier transform. Derivatives of transforms. We shall derive this. First, we shall state it. The statement reads, if the Fourier transform of f of x is equal to f of s, then the Fourier transform of x to the power n into f of x is given to be minus I whole to the power n d power n by ds to the power n of f of s. Now this result is very important for problem point of view. Now this particular result, because we are normally asked what is the Fourier transform of x into f of x or x square into f of x, in which case the property 8 has to be applied. Now how do we prove this result? Let us start off and then understand the procedure. We always start with the definition Fourier transform of f of x. We look at the statement given to us. It's better that we start from the right hand side and arrive at the left hand side. So we start with f of s first. We differentiate it with respect to s n times and then we rearrange the terms to get the answer. That's the procedure that we are going to follow. So let's begin by starting with what f of s means. What is f of s by our definition? It is nothing but the Fourier transform of f of x. Let us write it down. The 1 by root 2 pi integral minus to plus infinity f of x e to the power isx dx. So that's the definition that we have written and f of s is therefore declared. Now what should I do according to the result that I want? I need to differentiate it with respect to s n times. So let us do that on both sides. So that becomes d power n by ds to the power n of f of s. So d power n by ds power n of f of s is equal to d power n by ds power n of the right hand side. The right hand side is again 1 by 2 pi, the definition itself. Now, left hand side nothing can be done, but something can be done on the right side. We have an integral to be differentiated n times. And when we send the derivative inside the integral, now you see, suppose I carry this forward inside, I have two variables. One is s and another is x. So what happens? It will turn out to be a partial derivative. So you see how it changes? It becomes 1 by root 2 pi integral minus to plus infinity. The ordinary derivative now changes to a partial derivative and thus we must write it as dou power n by dou s power n of f of x into e to the power isx. So this product has to be differentiated and then you of course write dx. But looking at the derivative, the variable that we are differentiating is s and that occurs only here. So f of x is going to be kept as it is. So if we continue to rewrite this particular step, this will be 1 by root 2 pi integral minus 2 plus infinity. And now f of x is to be kept as it is. And now I have to differentiate what now? Dou power n by dou s power n of e to the power isx. And then I have of course dx. Now, when I differentiate e power isx with respect to s, what will happen? I am differentiating with respect to s once. So what will happen to this? It will become ix into e to the power isx. Isn't it so? If I differentiate it twice with respect to s, then what will happen? It will become ix. the whole square into e power isx. So the power of ix will be the same as the order of the derivative. And therefore, what will happen to our nth order derivative? It is 1 by root 2 pi minus 2 plus infinity f of x. Now this term will simply become ix whole to the power n into e power isx, and you are integrating with respect to x. I hope it's clear. If it is n here, this should also be n. This is also n. So it all depends on how many times you are differentiating. The power of ix goes on increasing and will be equal to the order of the derivative. Now this I power n x power n, ix whole power n can be written as I power n, which can be taken outside the integral, and what remains inside therefore is 1 by root 2 pi integral minus to plus infinity x to the power n f of x e power isx dx. Now this is what remains. Isn't it so? Now if there was no x power n, this would have been just Fourier transform of f of x. But because there is an x power n, now this bracket will now turn out to be a Fourier transform of x to the power n into f of x, and that is multiplied by I power n, which is outside. And what is the left hand side? Do not forget what is the left hand side. D power n by ds to the power n of f of s. Now we have got the result. We simply have to rearrange the terms. So how do we rearrange? The Fourier transform, according to the statement, we wanted x power n into f of x. So keep that on one side and collect the other terms on the right hand side. So it's 1 by I power n d power n by ds power n of f of x, f of s. But I'm sure all of you agree that 1 by I is nothing but minus I. This result all of you know. And therefore 1 by I power n is nothing but minus I whole to the power n d power n by ds power n of f of s is equal to Fourier transform of x power n into f of x. So that's the result that we wanted to prove. If you can go back to check what we have to prove finally and confirm if we have done it. See, that's the result. Fourier transform of x power n f of x is minus I whole power n d power n by ds power n of f of s. That means f of s differentiated n times with respect to s gives you the result multiplied by minus I power n. So hence we have proved the result. So that's a very important one for the problem point of view. So kindly understand the proof, and also we shall see in problems how to apply them. Now the last property would just be stated for you here. Now we already know what an even function is and an odd function is. So there are two cases that we are going to list out. If suppose the given function is an even function of x, this can be very easily proved also. So f of x is an even function of x. If it is so, then that will imply its Fourier transform. Its Fourier transform, which is f of s, will also be an even function of the variable s. So it's an even function of s. Similarly, the second criteria is for an odd function. If f of x is an odd function of x, so if f of x is an odd function of the variable x, then its corresponding Fourier transform will also be an odd function of the variable s, is an odd function of the variable s. So what does this actually mean? That if I can put it in a different color, this will mean that if f of minus x is equal to f of x, that is what even function means, then capital F of minus s is equal to capital F of s. This is what you mean by saying f of s is an even function of s. Here what does this mean? If f of minus x is equal to minus f of x, then that's what an odd function means. Then f of minus s is also equal to minus f of s, meaning it is an also an odd function of s. So depending on the original function, its Fourier transform also carries the same nature. The nature of the function does not change once the Fourier transform is calculated. So these complete the properties of Fourier transform. In the next video, we shall be doing theorems which are very important called convolution theorem. I shall take it in one video, and in the next video it will be Parseval's theorem. So the next two videos are highly applicative. So with this we complete the 9 properties of Fourier transforms. I hope you have understood them. If we could just have a listing for summary. So the properties that we dealt with, the first one was linearity property, the second one was change of scale property or similarity property. The third one was, which we discussed, was shifting property both in X and in S. The fourth one was modulation property that we discussed, modulation or theorem or property that we called. Then we discussed about what is conjugate symmetry property, because we are dealing with complex functions. And then we called, the next one was transform of derivatives, that we calculated what is the Fourier transform of the nth order derivative. Then we calculated the transform of integrals. We proved it only for the first one, and then we said we could generalize it, but normally not very useful. But first integral is definitely implied. So transform of integrals. And in this particular video we defined what is called the derivative of transforms, and we understood that the nature will not change based on an even and an odd function. If the function is even or odd, its corresponding Fourier transforms will also remain even and odd. So these are the 9 important properties of Fourier transforms. So in the next particular video, I shall focus on a very important theorem called convolution theorem. So we shall meet in my next video. Thank you for the patience. Let's meet soon. Thank you. Take care. God bless.